saying all along that you valued skill, and I guess that's what Mark Hunter was all about, and didn't care about size so much. It's more skill.
Yeah, you know, we drafted a couple of guys with size. It wasn't like we were avoiding it, but when it came time for our pick and we looked at our list, we also weren't afraid of guys that we knew maybe had to go back and play a little bit and hopefully grow a little bit. Certainly skill, compete level, hockey sense was big on our list. And then, like I said, when there were a couple picks where we had some guys sitting at the top of our list that were available and had a little bit of size, we took them as well.
Why was it important to build skill level internally, like to start that process?
Well, I don't think it's starting the process of building the skill level. I think we have some very skilled players in Toronto already, but I just think that you know, it's just such a hockey sense, compete level. You know, these are 18-year-old kids, and they're not all going to be 6'2" or 6 foot or 200 pounds or 195 pounds when they're 18 years old. So all of these kids, we're all sitting here and talking to some of the other guys walking out from other teams. We're all sort of saying, how'd you do today? And we said, well, we'll see in 3 to 4 years how we did today. So it's, you know, so we had some kids that we had rated higher that were still available. They were probably available because they were a little bit undersized. And if we're not asking them to play in the NHL next year or the year after that, then some of them will grow, some of them won't, some of them will find a way, and you know, it's a skill that wins.
The defenseman you got from Edmonton, what do you project about him?
Well, I think that was something that we felt with the pick at the time. It was a player. We have a need for more defensemen. We think he's a young guy, a guy with some upside. Kyle was a big fan of his. Mark Hunter was a big fan of his, so we made the deal.
You assess where trade talks went since Friday morning?
Sorry?
You assess where trade talks may have gone since Friday morning?
You know, nothing really materialized, and I've been saying to everybody I came here for the draft. I didn't come here for, this is not the trade deadline. I did come here for the draft, and we had some talk. I think there was some discussions that were initiated here down on the floor with teams that are still alive, and they were under no rush. We were under no rush, and so this was a good time for some initial contact to be made. So those things weren't dead, but I think that, like I said, we came here for a draft and to initiate maybe some of those relationships, but nothing materialized that we thought was going to benefit the Leafs in any way. And we'll see where we are when in the next month or two. And if we have to come to camp with, you know, and we don't have everything done that we wanted to get done, that's fine as well. We have a great coach that we think in a lot of ways can help some of these guys. And this is not a process that we thought we needed to do over a matter of weeks. This is going to be a process that's going to take a matter of years.
What was the thought process at the 24th pick to trade over for more prospects as opposed to maybe getting a possibly better player late in the first round last night?
When we got close to 24, we realized that we just had a cluster of players that we felt we were satisfied with, any number of them. And so it was just a matter of us giving Mark Hunter more kicks at the can and more opportunities. So we were able to take 24, slide 10 choices back, and by doing that, add another second and add another third. So that's what we did, and it was good for us at the table today to be able to have those opportunities to make those picks. And quite frankly, one of the guys that we were thinking about at 24 was still there at 34, so we were excited about that.
Well, what can we expect July 1st?
July 1st, what can you expect July 1st?
I know you're not big on building a team then, but will you be active on that particular day?
Well, you know, we'll be active. I don't know that we will be the headline stealers in the NHL on July 1st, but certainly we'll be active like everybody else. We might have a different set of targets than some of the teams, and I don't know that we're going to be making headlines on July 1st. That's probably not our plan. Now, well, we're Toronto, so somehow there'll be headlines no matter whether we do something or we don't. There'll be headlines. So let me rephrase that. We're not. I don't think we're going to shake the hockey world on July 1st this year. We've got a few guys that we like. That we're already talking to right now because you're allowed to talk to them, and we'll see if it shakes down. But again, we know that this is not, whether it's making trades, drafting players, signing players, this is not something that we feel that we are on a ticking clock. We're trying to do this the right way, and sometimes that's a methodical way.
Would any of these players that you may or may not be talking to fit inside your top 6 forwards or top 4D, or would they be players outside that range?
Yes.
Let me clarify that.
Yes.
Your thoughts on Travis Dermott?
Very competitive kid. He is, the reports that we had from some of his teammates, when he's not angering his opponents, he's angering his own teammates in practice with his compete level. He's got good size. He's a thick kid. He's a very competitive kid. When we talk about, he's a great skater. He's elusive. He's got some offensive skill. And again, I think probably one of the things I liked the most is it seemed to me that he's just one of those guys that likes to get under people's skin and compete. And those are the kind of guys that find ways to win.
On Mitch Marner, I know training camp will determine his future, but I presume you'd be very comfortable if he spent another year in the OHL.
That's our expectation, but we don't want to take away the opportunity for him to come in and try to make the NHL in the first year, but we're not expecting that from him. And like I've said a few times, that we're not, the process that we are embarking on here is not something that we're going to try and rush into. So if Mitch is back in London, I know the owner of that team, and I trust that he will be developing in a manner in which we would agree with. And no rush for him. It will not be a failure in any way for him if he goes back for another year. And it's probably right now, if I had to make a guess, it's probably where he should be. But you know what? Let's leave it up. Let's leave it up to him and see how he fares when he does come to camp. And I don't like to make that decision for any young man in June.
If I could get you to make another guess.
Last question, guys.
Over the summer, would you say is more?
I'm not good at guessing.
Well, would you expect more or less to move at least one of your core players over the summer before camp?
You need a dance partner for stuff like that. So when I'm guessing, we are, as I've always said, we are interested in making some changes. We have a talented group in our core, and as I said at the end of the season, for whatever reason, I think Mike will help. Regardless, throughout the last few seasons, we've seen that the mix just doesn't seem to be there. So we're interested in making some changes, but the timeline, we'll make those changes when we think that they're best for the Maple Leafs and the Maple Leafs' future. So if something happens, it happens. And if it doesn't happen, we're not going to force it just to hit an artificial timeline.
Can you characterize sort of how things went this weekend in that respect? Just how close you might have been? Or
I wouldn't say we were really close. It's not like we had any offers hard offers that we turned down or anything like that, but there was just some good conversation initiated. Look, in this day and age, especially when you're talking about players with big contracts, and anything really now is a big contract, it requires teams to really look into themselves, examine what they're going to do on July 1st. So this might be something that stretches into free agency to see some teams that maybe have a guy targeted that don't get that free agent. So I would characterize this weekend as a few conversations were initiated, and we're left with sort of let's keep talking.